Hello, and welcome to the Simplify Your Retirement Podcast with Steven Strickland. Hello, Steven.
Hi, Paul. How you doing?
Doing very well. You know, it's hard to believe, but we are in our 6th season now of Simplify Your Retirement Podcast.
Really is amazing. You know, time flies when you're having fun. So that means we've done 5 seasons, 12 episodes per season. Literally 60 episodes are in the bank.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's crazy to think about even from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just seeing the evolution of this podcast, it's been great.
Yeah.
But the one thing that hasn't changed besides technology and moving to YouTube and all that, all that's changed. Mm-hmm. The studio's changed.
Right. You and I haven't changed much in the last couple of years.
Definitely not.
That's good.
But what hasn't changed is the education.
That's right.
And that's what this is all about anyway. And so, you know, it's been great to be able to do this and to continue to coming up with content, but it's not hard when it's all about education.
Absolutely. It's the value proposition that we bring to the table. It's our background. It's what we enjoy doing. We're passionate about doing. So we love continuing the process of educating our clients, educating people that are not familiar with Wise Wealth. But we believe that, like Ben Franklin said, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, thankfully here, I'm a continual learner. I know you're a continual learner. Everyone here is. So we're all continuing to learn. Sometimes it's required through continuing education requirements, but other times it's just because we want to continue to grow and develop as people, as leaders, as advisors. And so as we continue to learn and grow, certainly we would like to share that knowledge with our clients.
That's for sure. You know, and I know that as we dive into each season, we kind of say, let's, you know, what is the theme for the season? What are we looking at? And so there's always so much to pick from, you know. And I was thinking the other day, too, about just even kind of like personal life. You talk about always learning and growing. And so one of the things I've been looking at is, you know, exercising, right? Because that's a good thing to do. Taking care of our bodies is a good thing to do. But as I was exercising, I came to a decision. And I'll put this out there just so everyone knows. Okay. I will not play basketball, and I will not do CrossFit.
Okay.
Yeah, because I read some articles, and there were some people.
Yeah.
I read 2 different articles for sure, and one guy was a CrossFit guy. I mean, like really peak fitness, everything. Another one was a star basketball player. The star basketball player, unfortunately, he just collapsed on the court and passed away. Okay. Tragic. But that just shows how dangerous basketball can be.
Right.
Yeah. And this CrossFit guy, I mean, he was peak fitness and everything, but then he had a stroke.
Okay.
I don't want a stroke.
You shouldn't do CrossFit, right?
I don't want a stroke.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I'm not going to do CrossFit either.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not opposed to exercise, but those 2 forms of exercise can be deadly.
Right.
And so I'm just not going to do that.
Somebody played those games, they had these accidents, and so there's obviously a correlation.
I read an article on it, and so therefore I know that how dangerous it can be.
Right.
And I say that tongue-in-cheek because the reality of it is sometimes people take that approach with financial planning. And I know we've seen it where they'll hear about a product.
Right.
Whether it's on the radio, TV, talking to a friend, overhear something at the coffee shop, whatever it is. And they're intrigued by it, so they start to research it, and they go, okay, I know that I need to do financial planning. So now they start researching a product.
Right.
And they find something negative against it, or it could swing the pendulum totally the other way and say, all they ever hear is the good news about it, all the benefits, but not the risks. And so they make a decision based on what they feel is, you know, some research that they've done.
Absolutely.
And then they just buy something.
Yeah, it's a dangerous way to go about it. Obviously, we know if it bleeds, it leads, right? So, you know, typically what happens is when it comes to financial products, a lot of times it's the bad news that makes the news. In other words, someone got burned by a product, someone that didn't work the way they wanted it to. They end up suing and all the stuff. So we find out a lot of times something that didn't work, somebody who didn't like it. And so, believe it or not, this is going to be shocking to some people, but you know, a lot of times news agencies are trying to sell advertisements. They're trying to sell people and trying to read their articles. So they're going to put something out there that causes people to read it. And a lot of times it doesn't mean that's the entire truth about it. And so, yes, I understand understand what you're saying. And that is, you can't just, when you're researching things, whether it's investment products, whether it is solutions that are out there, you tend to find, well, it's two things I would say. There's a thing called confirmation bias. You tend to find what you're looking for.
Yes.
If you think something is going to be a good thing, you're going to somehow amazingly find all the research that says it's a good thing. But if you're already kind of predisposed against it, incredibly, you're going to find only the research that says you shouldn't do it. And so we have this confirmation bias, number one. Number two, like I said, a lot of times, if it's in the news, the negative aspect of something tends to lead over maybe the positive stories on it, because that doesn't really sell anything.
Mm-hmm. And we've seen this in a lot of different areas now too, and this has really become popular, where people are starting to wake up to the fact, though, that besides the confirmation bias that we have, the algorithms that run the technology we use to research things drive that confirmation bias.
Yeah.
So if you search something and you click on a negative article, it continues to show you negative articles.
Right.
If you click on a positive article, it's going to continue to show you positive articles.
Right.
So
it shows you what you want to
algorithms
find. It has some confirmation bias. Yeah.
It encourages confirmation bias. And
that's true.
So we do have issues like that. But that's why, though, we believe in principles-based financial planning, because principles don't change. Products can change.
Right.
Other things can change within an industry, within planning, all of that. Change is good.
Right.
But principles don't change. And so we've talked a lot over the first 5 seasons about the principles of financial planning, but we have a few principles that we hold to. What are some of the principles that we have here at Wise Wealth for financial planning?
Yeah, well, the main ones are the plan determines the products. The first two kind of go hand in hand. And then don't make any investment decisions outside the context of a plan.
Yes.
So we say to everybody, that's why what everyone has to have is a plan. We don't know what products you're going to need. We don't know what investments are going to work or not work or fit. First things first, let's develop a plan. And that plan obviously is based on your goals, wishes, dreams, risk tolerance, all these things that go into it. So it always starts with a plan first. Those are the main two. The plan determines the products. Don't make investment decisions outside the context of a plan. So, and the reason we say that is because there's a lot of potential investment options out there for people. And so there is, no such thing as a bad product, only bad fit. So in other words, someone might hear an investment product or an investment sales pitch or something like this on the radio or on TV or something like this, and it may or may not be good or bad. What determines that is where do you have a plan. And so we always tell everybody that if you have a plan, now you have a matrix by which to make investment decisions. Because now every time I make an investment decision, I don't make that investment decision based on the merits of the investment alone. It is based on where does it fit in my plan. And if it fits in the plan, then it may be a good investment. It's not based on the investment by itself. So it's very important to have the plan first.
Yes, and so the principles, the guiding principles, again, are in relation to product, as we're talking about here specifically, is the plan determines the product, and no investment decision made outside the context of the plan. So we do have principles, and we've talked a lot about those principles. We have them throughout all the seasons. They're there, and they'll always be there. But then under that umbrella of the principle, then we have what we call a philosophy, or an approach to financial planning that falls underneath that. So it's part of it, but almost like a subset. And you referenced it, but we want to come back to it because, in a sense, this is going to be kind of what this season is about. And it's the philosophy that you said, which is we don't believe there's such a thing as a bad product, just a bad fit.
Right.
And so, again, if we're saying bad fit, that is in relation to what?
Having
the
a plan. That's right.
Yes. And so it's a subset of that. But we want to focus a lot on that philosophy. So I know, here, whenever you're watching this, right, because we know that these things are out there and people can watch this at any time. But by the time we've recorded this, when we're recording this, we've spent the summer of 2024 doing what we do every year, which is continuing education for the clients of Wise Wealth. So we have the Wise Wealth Summer Education Series. Happens every summer, June, July, and August, and we pick different topics and we educate our clients on it. This summer, we focused on a few different topics that are a little outside the norm for what people think of as financial planning. So what were the three main topics that we talked about over the summer of 2024?
We kind of went with, non-traditional methods to help people in retirement. And so when we say non-traditional, it just means that it's not, the normal, hey, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, life insurance. And it's things that a lot of times people do that are misunderstood. And so we said, look, we're gonna talk about it to everybody. We're gonna make sure people understand what it is, what it's not. Then you can make a decision about it. So the things we talked about over the summer of 24 summer education series was one thing called a beneficiary liquidity plan. I know we'll talk about a few of these things here. Beneficiary liquidity plan. Another one was reverse mortgages.
Ooh,
seriously,
scary.
Reverse mortgages. And another huge topic, digital assets. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. So we spent the summer, like you said, taking the opportunity to educate our clients. Certainly, if someone's a client of Wise Wealth, you will have received by now, I'm sure, a link to all of these summer education series. And by the way, if someone is listening to this podcast today, they're not a client of Wise Wealth, they didn't get those links, certainly we'll be glad to share them. This education is something we do for our clients and their guests, but even just by mentioning those, if somebody says, hey, I'd like to hear what you guys think about those things, I'd like to hear, those summer education series presentations, certainly we can get those links out. Someone can contact us at wisewealth.com.
info@wisewealth.com. Just shoot us an email or give us a call at 816-246-9473. We'll get it to them.
And something else that's going to be very important is that they can also just keep following this podcast.
Yes.
Because during this season of the podcast is what you're saying. We're focused on these non-traditional methods. We're focused on letting everybody know, here are some things you need to know about that are out there, because people are talking about all these things. So certainly we're going to have a podcast episode dedicated to reverse mortgages coming up soon. We're going to have a podcast episode dedicated to beneficiary liquidity planning. And we're going to have a podcast episode dedicated to digital assets. So you can certainly get those links, but also we want to let everybody know we're going to be talking about that during this season.
Yes, because not only do we want to make sure that people understand it, but the thing that I enjoy about this podcast and working with you and being able to work through things is we know that there is also no such thing as a perfect product. Right? I mean, there might be a perfect fit, but there's no such thing as a perfect product either. It doesn't mean that it's bad, but everything is going to have, for this benefit, you give up this or something. There's a place it fits.
Absolutely.
And so we want to present a fair and balanced approach to help people understand some of these concepts.
And it's extremely important. The reason why we feel like in this podcast we should talk about these things that maybe some financial advisor firms wouldn't, or even educate our clients about it when some financial advisor firms wouldn't, is because we believe that as a fiduciary, we have a responsibility to at least make sure we understand it. It may be the right thing for someone. So we're not going to just sit there and say, well, no, don't do it. We've never even looked into it. We've never studied it. We don't know anything about it. You should just not do it because we don't offer these things. And by the way, a lot of things we're going to talk about during this season, we don't offer them. We don't do them. It's not like we're trying to say, hey, you should do this because we offer reverse mortgages. For the record, we don't offer reverse mortgages. We have nothing to do with it. So the fact that we talk about it, so in other words, we don't just talk about the things that we offer, because there are some things that are just out there that people may need to do, and other people are talking about it. So there's two things. Number one is we're a fiduciary, which means we have to act in our client's best interest. So is it possible that one of these things we're going to discuss during this season of the podcast or some point in time or another, even if we don't do it, it's in our client's best interest? If that's the case, we need to be aware of it. We need to be knowledgeable about it. We need to know about it. And the second reason is because since there is education out there about these things, there are people that are going to be talking about these topics, and we feel like we want our clients to hear about these things from us.
Yes.
Not from someone who's not a fiduciary, not from someone who is going to try to sell them on why they need it. Because if you go to, let's say, a reverse mortgage workshop from someone who sells reverse mortgages, guess what they're going to try to do during that workshop? Convince you that you need it. So in other words, we want to, like you said, come at this from an objective approach. Say here, in every product and every potential solution for retirement, there are benefits, there are limitations. Sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. And that's why we would say to everybody, the principle behind making sure there is no such thing as a bad product, only a bad fit. The principle behind that is only make investment decisions inside the context of a plan. Have a plan first. Then we look at all these things that are out there and say, okay, if that's a viable option, where does it fit? If it fits, does it still make sense financially, all these other reasons. So,
yeah. And, not only from a fiduciary standpoint, should we be talking about it, but from the from the people watching this, the ones that we do this for, right? This podcast is for. So you may be watching this saying, well, my advisor doesn't talk to me about this. There's always going to be something in the back of your mind that says, is it good?
Right.
Because I've heard about it. And so we want to make sure that people understand, if it doesn't show up in a plan recommendation for them, it's not because we don't understand about it. It's not because we're not willing to talk about it. It's not because we don't sell it. It's because it doesn't fit within their specific plan.
And that's what people expect. They expect us to tell them or advise them or recommend things, that we've studied, we've looked at, that we know about. And so that's exactly the point.
Yeah. And so it's going to be a fun season to go through that. But so I know you mentioned some. And so some of these topics that we're going to touch on this season, and we're still working through it, we're going to have some great guests on.
Yes, a lot of guests.
A lot of guests, especially because some of these are things that we don't do.
That's right. Bring in the experts who know these things better than we do. That's right.
Absolutely. So we're going to have some great guests on. We're going to have some really interesting topics. But some of them are ones that are out there that people hear about. Some of them are ones that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
You referenced a beneficiary liquidity plan. We're going to get into that, but how many people have heard of a beneficiary liquidity plan? Right. And so, and then some of them just have a really bad stigma around it.
So we're just saying up front to everybody, look, we're going to talk about these topics.
Yeah.
We'll say it right now. It doesn't mean we're not recommending that everyone goes out, listens to these podcasts, says, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to get a reverse mortgage. I'm going to sign up for a beneficiary liquidity plan. I'm going to buy Bitcoin.
Yep.
Okay, that's not what we're saying. We're saying you may need to. You need to understand it. Once you do, this gives us a reason to talk about it with you. And like you just said, if we're in the context of a meeting with a client, because we are aware of these things, if we believe this is something that you should look at, that you should consider, that we would recommend, we're going to tell you that during our times together. So if you're a client listening to the podcast, you don't have to wonder, do we recommend that for you? Because if we do, you will know.
Yes. Yeah. And so it's going to be a fun season. Now, again, we're not going to give you everything today. We're not going to give our listeners everything today because you got to have a reason to come back, right?
Right.
Beyond just listening to us. I mean, that's just a lot of fun. But
grab your coffee and sit down and listen to us. Yes, it'd be great.
But we will touch on beneficiary liquidity plan, as you mentioned. And we're going to have a great guest on for that.
Yep.
So we're going to spend a whole episode just talking about that and the need that it fills.
Yeah.
Is it right for everyone?
Yep.
Not necessarily, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about reverse mortgages.
Yep.
We're going to have a great guest on to talk about digital assets and cryptocurrency.
Absolutely.
That's going to be a fun episode.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Another one that I know that we're going to do for sure, and we'll kind of tease up, though, would be in the realm of investing, there are terms that people might hear, and we're going to kind of just do a roundtable discussion about this. What about, let's call it ESG, socially, how would we say that? Socially responsible investing. Biblically responsible investing. So we have all these different terms that are out there. Are they the same thing? Are they not? So let's just break it down and talk about what does that look like.
Exactly. That'd be great. And again, these are all topics that people hear about. So we're going to say, hey, let's bring it in. Let's talk about it. It's out there in the news. Some of our clients may be wondering, what actually is that? And so that's the point of this podcast, to educate people, make sure we understand the terms.
And so as we have a whole season dedicated to this, so let's just take a step back to that principle of no investment decision outside the context of the plan. So if we can do a whole season just on the topics that are confusing, for sure, and we're still not going to touch every single topic out there. Products that are unknown or misunderstood. How does an individual do this on their own?
Right. And that's why we say don't do it on your own. That's why we would tell our clients, don't just go to a seminar and someone talking about Bitcoin and listen to if they have a vested interest in selling you Bitcoin and those kinds of things. So you need objectivity. You need advice. You need planning. First of all, you have to have the plan. Second of all, you need an advisor that keeps you on the plan. One of our biggest responsibilities here, one of our biggest tasks is after we create the plan for our clients is reminding them of that plan. And especially when it comes time to making decisions, maybe that are investment related, where does it fit? How does it fit? And let's make sure we go for it because it works inside your plan. And so it's mainly not doing things on your own. Sometimes when people try to do this on their own with just a person in that arena, let's call it, that sells these products or whatever the case may be. If you just go to them for your research, if you just go to them for the information, you may be sold on it. And so, we want to help our clients make the best decisions. We don't believe, this is the good news, and we've hit on this, we don't believe there is such a thing as a bad product. So we're never surprised. We're never afraid to talk about any products. We're never like, oh boy, we can't talk about Bitcoin because no, we're going to talk about it. We're not afraid of to talk about any topics, any products, any investment options. We need to look at all of them. And so we're never surprised if a client ever calls up and says, hey, I'm thinking about buying gold. What do you think? We've looked into this. There is no such thing as a bad product, only a bad fit. The questions are always the same. What is it for? Is this for liquidity? Is this to produce an income stream? Is this to grow? And then from there, what assets are we talking about? IRAs, right? So there's a lot of questions that go into making an investment decision, but at least we're going to come at it from the frame of mind that says we don't think anything is a bad product or a bad potential solution. There's a place for everything. That's why it's created. There's got to be it's got to fit somewhere, maybe for some people, just not for everyone. And so we're going to come at it with that frame of mind. But we would just say to people who are hear things, research things, hear about investment opportunities, it's the temptation is to kind of just I don't want to ask anybody because I'm afraid they're going to tell me no, that kind of thing. The temptation is to do it like that and do it on your own. It's still better to go to someone who's going to be objective, who's on your side, who's a fiduciary, who doesn't believe there's such a thing as a bad product, only a bad fit, and we're going to give you good advice.
Yeah. And I think about this also just something that people can visualize, right? Because I know that people gravitate to learning new concepts and things with what they understand. And so I know that at Wise Wealth, kind of some remodel.
Yes, that's right.
In the office, making continually, just like everything we do here, striving for excellence, continue to make things better. And so, but I wasn't involved in the whole process. So how did you do this? Did you start by saying, I saw a countertop I really like, and so and a light fixture that I really like,
right.
And I heard about this amazing sink that I really like, and then you just said you bought all these things, and then you said, I hope it works.
Right. Yes. I would like to think that I'm an expert, let's say financial planning, financial planner. What I'm not an expert in is interior design, architecture, engineering. And so since that's not my expertise, since I don't know about it, like you said, I certainly could have researched all of it, but no, we went and hired an engineering firm, an architectural firm that said, here's the way this space over here can work. Here's what can fit in here. Here's some options. Here's some colors. And you just make your decisions based on, what fits.
Yeah. And so you walked through the process of working with someone who knew what they were doing, able to listen to you and what you wanted to accomplish, where you were at and what you had, and then they were able to put together a plan, drawings, and all of this, and then you chose those things.
Absolutely.
Based on that.
Right. And we're all thankful that, I went and got help with this because there's a few things you don't want me doing. You know what I mean? You don't want me building your house, okay? I'll build your financial plan for you. I'll help you get ready for the future and that kind of stuff. We'll give you good advice, but you don't want me working on your kitchen sink, making your coffee, any of that kind of stuff.
And I only bring that up because people understand that. I mean, again, we kind of tongue in cheek a little bit, joke about that, but yet there are so many people that would never do that with a house, but then they try to do that with their financial future.
Yep.
And all we're saying is, look, it starts with a conversation.
Yep.
That's what we're here for, is to listen, because it is your plan. Even this podcast is simplify your retirement, not what we think is your retirement, not what we think is best for you. We want your plan.
Well, you said this from the beginning. We have principles. We have a framework. We've developed, obviously, a 3-bucket approach, help people make it simple, effective, and that kind of stuff. But like you said, if someone's not a client of ours who doesn't know this yet, then certainly, yes. You don't have to be intimidated to go to a financial planner, which some people are. They're afraid they're going to be told that they're not doing this right, or they're not going to make it. Our job, we've never told anybody. There's always a way to make it. There's always a way to make it, and that may be working till 8. There's always going to be a way to do it. Our job is never to tell anybody, well, sorry, I mean, there's no hope for you. Our job, we look at it and we say, if that's what you want to have done, here's the way to make that happen. There's always a way to do it. There's always a planning process, and so there's always hope. And so and that's what we do for our clients. And so people that, kind of like you're saying, maybe I'm going to do it on my own. I'm not a builder, but I don't want to pay a builder or an architect, so I'm just going to try to do this on my own. That's costly a lot of times. It's the same with financial planning. It's the same with investment. Some people say, I'm going to save money by doing this on my own. But and I think we've talked about this in episodes before. There's a difference between a fee that you can see and a cost that you can't see. And a lot of people make a lot of mistakes trying to do it on their own. And one of the biggest mistakes is there's so many things out there, and the people that try to just do it on their own, they tend to, do things more expensively. A lot of times, make mistakes. It's not because the investments they're choosing are bad; it's because it doesn't fit. And we cannot overemphasize this enough. I mean, it really comes down to, where does it fit in the portfolio? It's not an analysis of whether or not the offer or the investment or the potential solution is good or bad. It's never what it is. It's never, whether it's looking at it objectively, which is why you have to look at someone who's not selling it. And so, for example, we mentioned beneficiary liquidity plan. We help people, analyze that, and see if that's a good fit for them or not. We didn't create that. Reverse mortgages. We don't do mortgages here. And so all we want to do is say, hey, this is the thing that's out there. There's no question that there's a potential massive benefit to some people, not everyone and probably not most, but to some people. And so therefore we need to be aware of it. And then our job here is to say, look, we're not going to do the reverse. We're going to analyze it with you. We're not saying, here, go look at it. We think it could be good, bad. Go get it. Go get all the information on it. Go look at it. Bring it in here. We'll look at it with you. We know you. We know your plan. We know what your goals are. And we'll say, you know what? I think in your guys' case, you should go for it. We'll say, and sometimes in your guys' case, you should not go for this. So it just comes down to having a trusted, objective partner that is looking at things not only in your plan, like you said, simplify your retirement, your plan, but also your best interest. That's the key. Having someone on your side who's looking at these things, and that's why my philosophy is, you should be open-minded. Some people go at different investments already with a closed mind. And so that's never a good way to look at anything. Be open-minded. But it's human nature. I would say I'm the same way. When I first, if you said to me, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, maybe 3 or 4 years ago even, I'd be like, well, no, wait, man, there's fraud. Everything you hear about in the news, all the bad things that have ever happened. And so we could just stay that forever. Nope. Sorry, I heard something bad about it. I heard that it's not going to be good. I heard that look at it objectively. Same thing with reverse mortgages. If you said reverse mortgages to me 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I'd say, no way. That's a scam. It's rip-off. Yeah, and maybe there were some, and maybe there were some rip-off, but that doesn't mean you paint the whole thing with a broad brush. Look at it objectively. Be a student. Learn. It doesn't mean that you have to buy it. It doesn't mean, like, for example, we just taught an entire lesson in our summer education series earlier this summer on digital assets. Do I think that everyone should own them? No. Do I think a lot of people, some people should? Yes. Is what percentage in your portfolio? We talk about all these things. We'll talk about it in one of our upcoming episodes. So I'm going to try to hold back here and not give it all away. But the point is, be a student. Don't be closed-minded. I'll never forget when Mitch Anthony came here and spoke to our clients a few years ago. One of our, big events that we do from time to time on having an epic retirement. And I'll never forget what he said. He said that the fountain of youth is curiosity. So in other words, some people tend to, as they get older, get set in their ways. No, I'm never going to do that. No, that's bad. Don't become that person. Okay, you should always be learning. That's how you stay young. Stay open-minded. It doesn't mean you have to buy it, but stay open-minded. Don't be closed-minded about things. Stay curious. That's how you stay young, and that's how you win.
So for our clients that are watching this, I would say, hold on, it's going to be a fun season. I mean, tune in.
Yes. We're holding back. We're purposely holding back today. We want to give it all away.
If you haven't already, click the like button or the subscribe button, because that will notify you of new episodes, so that when it comes out, you can see that the next episode.
And you alluded to this earlier today. Yeah. The great news is that now people can, you can watch it. If you like to watch us, on YouTube, or you can just listen and play back at any of the podcast stations.
So wherever you're getting this content, continue to subscribe, and you'll be notified of those updates. It also makes it easier to share with family and friends. So that's for our clients. If you're watching this or listening to this and you are not a client of Wise Wealth, I would say it's going to be a fun and exciting season. But in the midst of all of that, I would say if you feel like you don't have a plan, like you don't have a partner, someone who's helping you put together a plan based on you and what you want, and helping you understand all these concepts, that's what Wise Wealth is for. That's what we're here for. And so it just starts with a conversation. We call it a clarity conversation. So if you're watching this for the first time, or you're not a client of Wise Wealth, but you've been wondering about it, it's as simple as emailing us at info@wisewealth.com, or call us at 816-246-9473. That's 816-246-WISE. And we'll be glad to get you set up with just a clarity conversation.
Yeah, and I would say you can go to the website, wisewealth.com. If you go to our website there is like a little 8-question quiz. A lot of people start by just taking that quiz. We receive those quizzes. One of our advisors will contact you back. There's also a way to get our book, Simplify Your Retirement. It's just been revised, expanded, updated. It's on our website too. So you scroll down, wisewealth.com. You can we'll send you a hardcover copy of that book for free if you go to the website. Certainly go to Amazon and buy it if you'd like.
Yeah.
I won't be opposed to that. But you can also just go to our website, wisewealth.com, find the book, and request the book for free too.
So there's a lot of ways you can get involved. You can get in touch with us. We want to make it simple for you. That's the whole point, is to simplify this whole process and help you simplify your retirement plan so that you are free to give, serve, and enjoy life like never before. That's our goal and a desire for everyone. It's why we do this. So Stephen, thank you for taking time out today to be able to help us kick off the 6th season of Simplify Your Retirement. It's going to be a fun, exciting season. Looking forward to the episodes ahead and the guests that we're going to have. Thank you for taking time to set all of that up and to be able to educate our clients and anyone watching or listening to this. And our last thank you goes to you, our listening and viewing audience. You're the reason we do this. Without you, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have a reason to do this, but we're here for you. So click that subscribe button, click the like button. It helps push the content out to others as well. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Simplify Your Retirement Podcast with Stephen Strickland. From all of us here, this is Paul Brock reminding you that financial peace does come with having a plan. And we'll see you next time.